Welcome students. In last lecture, I have been explained about the moment of inertia, its analogous with the mass, its physical significance. Also explain the kinetic energy of rotating body, moment of inertia of thin uniform ring, moment of inertia of thin uniform disk, radius of gyration, its physical significance. Also explain angular momentum and obtain its expression in terms of moment of inertia, expression for torque in terms of moment of inertia, conservation of angular momentum, rolling motion of the body, expression for kinetic energy of rolling motion, the expression for velocity and acceleration of the body rolling down on an inclined plane. Also, I can explain the expression for velocity and acceleration of a body sliding over an inclined plane without friction. Up to these topics we learned in earlier lecture. Today I am going to explain the theorem of parallel axis and theorem of perpendicular axis. These theorems can be used to obtain the expression for the moment of inertia of the rigid body. The theorem of parallel axis is applicable only to find out the moment of inertia of the rigid body of any shape about any axis. The statement of this theorem of parallel axis is the moment of inertia of a rigid body. The moment of inertia of a rigid body about any axis is the sum of the moment of inertia of that body about the axis parallel to the given axis passing through center of mass and the product of mass of the body and the square of the distance between the two parallel axes. This is the statement. Now consider a rigid body. This is the rigid body. Here in figure, this is the rigid body having mass m, be able to rotate about the axis MOP, about any axis MOP which is passing through the point O, and its parallel axis ACB which is passing through the center of mass of the body. Both the axes are considered parallel and separated by distance h. Separated by distance h. If IO is the moment of inertia of this rigid body about the axis MOP and IC is the moment of inertia of the same body about the axis ACB passing through its center of mass, and h is the separation between the two parallel axes, then according to the theorem of parallel axis, IO is equal to IC plus MH square. IO is equal to IC plus MH square. Now, to prove this is the mathematical statement. To prove this statement, for that purpose, we consider a small element. Consider a small element of mass dm situated at this point D. Situated at this point D, as shown in figure. Join OD and CD from respective axis, and draw DN on OC produced. OC produced means when the OC is elongates up to the point N, that is said to be OC produced. On this OC produced, DN is perpendicular. DN is perpendicular. Now the moment of inertia of this rigid body. Now the moment of inertia of this rigid body about the axis ACB, we consider that is IC, and IC is equal to integration of square of distance of that element from the axis, that is CD. That distance is CD. Therefore, here we write CD square into the mass of that element. This is the expression for the moment of inertia of the rigid body about the axis ACB passing through the center of mass point. This is according to the definitions of the moment of inertia. Now, the moment of inertia of the same body about any axis MOP, which is passing through the point O, is IO is equal to integration of OD square, where OD is the distance of the small element from the axis MOP. That OD distance is perpendicular. Therefore, here IO is equal to integration of OD square into mass of element dm. But from the geometry of the figure, OND, this is the right angle triangle. OD is hypotenuse, and ON and DN are the two sides near the rectangle. Therefore, according to Pythagoras theorem, OD square is equal to ON square plus ND square or DN square. Therefore, instead of OD square, we write ON square plus DN square. Therefore, the moment of inertia about the axis MOP is equal to integration of, in rectangular bracket, ON square plus DN square outside rectangular bracket DN. Now, also from these diagrams, the distance ON is the sum of the distance OC and distance CN. Therefore, instead of ON, we write OC plus CN. Therefore, above equation becomes IO is equal to integration of, in rectangular bracket, in curved bracket, OC plus CN square plus DN square outside rectangular bracket DM. That is equal to. Now, expand this bracket OC plus CN bracket square. By expanding, we get IO is equal to integration of, in rectangular bracket, OC square plus 2 times OC into CN plus CN square, plus this DN square remains as it is, plus DN square, and outside the bracket DM. But also from the figure, also from triangle CND, CD is the hypotenuse, angle N is having 90 degree, therefore this is right angle triangle, and according to Pythagoras theorem, CD square is equal to CN square plus DN square. That means instead of CN square plus DN square, we write CD square. Therefore, this above equation will becomes IO is equal to integration of, in rectangular bracket, OC square plus 2 times OC into CN plus CD square. This is in terms of Cn square plus Dn square. Outside rectangular bracket Dm. Outside rectangular bracket Dm. Therefore, that is equal to. Now multiply by Dm to all these terms and separate the terms. Therefore, IO is equal to integration of OC square dm plus integration of 2 times OC into Cn into dm plus integration of CD square dm. But the distance between the two parallel axes, that is axis MOP and axis ACP, is h. That means OC is equal to h. Substitute this value in this equations, we get IO is equal to integration of h square into dm plus integration of twice h into Cn into dm plus integration of CD square dm. The distance h never change even though the position of the small element can be changes. For another element, this distance, OD distance, CD distance, Cn distance can be changes. If D point is in, instead of here, that D point is here, or this D point is in between these two axes, or here, at that time the distance OD, CD, Cn can be changes, but distance OC never change. That means h is remains constant. So h square and h taken outside of integrations. Therefore, IO is equal to h square into integration of dm plus 2 times h into integration of Cn dm plus integration of CD square dm. Here Cn changes, though the position can be changed. So Cn cannot be taken outside of integration here. Now, but integration of CD square dm is the moment of inertia of the body about the axis ACB, which is passing through the point C, center of mass, that is called IC, and integration of dm means the sum of all such elements, and that is equal to the mass of the rigid body, and mass of the rigid body is considered capital M. Therefore, integration of dm is equal to M, and the mass distribution is symmetric about the center of mass point. Mass is equally distributed around the center of mass point. So the integration of C and dm, that is equal to 0, that is considered 0. This is according to the definition of center of mass. Therefore, write integration of CD square dm as IC, integration of dm as M, and integration of C and dm is equal to 0 in above equation. Therefore, above equation becomes IO is equal to h square into, instead of integration dm, we write capital M plus twice h into integration of C and dm is 0. Therefore, twice h into 0, that is equal to 0, plus integration of CD square dm is IC. Therefore, here write IC. Therefore, IO is equal to IC plus MH square by rearranging these equations. This is the theorem of parallel axis. Hence, it is proved. Also, from these equations, we can derive the relation between the radius of gyrations about the axis MOP, about any axis MOP, and about the axis ACB, which is passing through the center of mass. That can be like this. From this, I can explain it here. According to the principle of parallel axis, I O is equal to IO is equal to MC's sorry IC plus MH square. IC plus MH square. If we consider KO is the radius of gyration about any axis MOP and Kc is the radius of gyrations about the axis ACB, which is passing through the center of mass point. Therefore, IO is written as MKO square in terms of radius of gyration, and IC is equal to MKC square. MKC square. Therefore, above equation becomes MKO square is equal to MKC square plus MH square plus MH square. This is the theorem of parallel axis according to theorem of parallel axis. In right hand side of this equations, there are two terms, and that both terms includes M, that is mass. That mass taken common out, and that mass towards the right hand side and left hand side get cancels. Therefore, the expression becomes KO square is equal to KC square plus H square. This is the relation between the radius of gyration about two parallel axes. One is axis passing through any point, and other is axis passing through the center of mass point. Remember this equations also. This is according to theorem of parallel axis. Now, another theorem. Now, next article is theorem of perpendicular axis. This theorem is applicable only for a laminar object. Laminar objects means the object which have two-dimensional object whose thickness is very small. Such an object is called the laminar object or plane lamina. The theorem of perpendicular axis or principle of perpendicular axis is applicable only for plane lamina or laminar object. Its statement is like this: the moment of inertia of a laminar object about an axis perpendicular to its plane is the sum of its moment of inertias about two mutually perpendicular axes in its plane, and all these three axes being concurrent. Concurrent means these three axes originate from single point. Here in diagrams, this is a plane lamina having any shape whose thickness is very small. This lamina is taken in XY plane. And Z-axis is perpendicular to the plane. All these three axes meets at a point O. That means these three axes are concurrent. Therefore, if we assume that Ix, Iy, and Iz are the moment of inertia of this lamina about x-axis about y-axis and about z-axis respectively. Then, according to theorem of perpendicular axis, or according to the principle of perpendicular axis, Iz is equal to Ix plus Iy. This is the mathematical statement. This is the mathematical statement of perpendicular axis. Now, it's proof. For that purpose, consider a plane lamina or laminar object of any shape of mass m, be able to rotate about the three mutually perpendicular axes x, y, and z. The z-axis is perpendicular to the plane. The z-axis is perpendicular to the plane, while the axis x and y in its plane, and all these three axes are concurrent at a point O. That means all these axes meets at a single point O. Now, to find out or to prove this theorem, for that purpose, we consider a small element. Consider a small element of mass dm situated at this point P. Situated at this point P, whose coordinates is xy 0, xy 0. X is the x coordinate, y is the y coordinate, and z coordinate is 0. Since this lamina is in xy plane, so the coordinate of this small element, z coordinate of this small element is 0. Now, joint OP and draw PM perpendicular on x-axis and PN perpendicular on y-axis. So, PM is equal to y and PN is equal to x, where x and y are the coordinates, x-axis and y-axis coordinate. Therefore, PM is equal to y and PN is equal to x. Now, the moment of inertia of laminar object of this lamina about x-axis, about y-axis, and about z-axis are written as Ix is equal to the distance of this element from the perpendicular distance of this element from the axis x is PM. The perpendicular distance of this element from the axis y is PN, and the perpendicular distance of this element from z is OP. Therefore, Ix is equal to integration of PM square into dm, and that is equal to integration of y square dm, since PM is equal to y. This equation is considered as equation number 1. Similarly, the moment of inertia about the y-axis, that is Iy, is equal to integration of Pn square dm, but Pn is equal to x, therefore that is equal to integration of x square into dm. That is second equation. Now, the moment of inertia of this lamina about the z-axis is equal to integration of OP square into dm. Now, consider one of the triangle, right angle triangle OMP. This angle is 90 degree. Angle OMP is 90 degree. Therefore, consider this right angle triangle OMP. OP is hypotenuse. PM and MO are the two sides of this triangle, right angle triangle. Therefore, according to Pythagoras theorem, OP square is equal to PM square plus MO square plus MO square. But MO is equal to Pn, is equal to Pn. Therefore, OP square is equal to Pm square plus Pn square. Therefore, Iz is equal to integration of OP square dm. Instead of OP square, we write Pm square plus Pn square. Therefore, this equation will becomes integration of, in curly bracket, Pm square plus Pn square outside the bracket dm. But Pm is equal to y and Pn is equal to x. Therefore, this equation becomes Iz is equal to integration of y square plus x square outside the bracket dm, and that is equal to integration of, multiply by dm to both these terms and separate the integrations. Therefore, integration of y square dm plus x square dms. But from equation 1, integration of y square dm is ix and integration of x square dm is iy. Therefore, we write Iz is equal to ix plus y iy. This is the theorem of perpendicular axis, hence it is proved. Also from these equations, we can obtain the relation between radius of gyration about these three axes of this lamina. According to the principle of perpendicular axis, Iz is equal to Ix plus Iy. Iz is equal to Ix plus Iy. Now, let Kz is the radius of gyration about the z-axis. Therefore, the moment of inertia about the z-axis can be written as mkz square. If kx is the radius of gyration about x-axis, then Ix is written as m into kx square. And if ky is the radius of gyrations of the lamina about y-axis, then Iy is written as mky square. Therefore, according to the principle of perpendicular axis, mkz square is equal to mkx square plus mky square. Now, m is taken common out from right hand sides and m on both sides get cancels. Therefore, kz square is equal to kx square plus ky square. This is the relation between the radius of gyrations about three mutually perpendicular axes. Remember this. The principle of parallel axis is applicable for any rigid body, but the principle of perpendicular axis is applicable only for plane lamina and not for any rigid body. Remember these things. And remember these equations also. Now, in part seconds, we see the moment of inertia of thin uniform ring, that is mr square, I is equal to mr square about its own axis. And from that, we can obtain the expression for the moment of inertia of thin uniform disk about its own axis, that is I is equal to mr square by 2. For these two symmetric objects, we see the expression for the moment of inertia. Also, here we see the expression for the moment of inertia and radius of gyration for some symmetric objects. For some symmetric objects or geometrical objects. Ring, hollow cylinder, annular ring, solid cylinder, disc, solid sphere, hollow sphere, cone, hollow cone, solid cone. These are the examples of symmetric objects. These are the examples of the symmetric objects. The objects whose mass is equally distributed around the center of mass or around the axis, such bodies or such objects are called the symmetric objects. Here, first symmetric object is ring. Here, the first symmetric object is ring. Here, let us consider this is thin uniform ring of mass capital M and radius R. Now, its moment of inertia about its own axis, that is about this axis Z, here represented by Z axis, which is the central axis. It is also called central axis. It is passing through center and perpendicular to its plane. It is called the central axis. The moment of inertia about this axis is I is equal to mr square. This is already seen. From these equations, its radius of gyrations k is equal to I upon m. Since I is equal to mk square, therefore k is equal to square root of I upon m, and from these equations, k is equal to r. This is the expression for the radius of gyration. Now, to find the moment of inertia of this ring about its diameter, about its diameter. Now, to find the moment of inertia about this diameter, let us assume that x-axis and y-axis are in the plane and passing through the center of ring. Here, now consider a ring. Here I can draw a ring. This ring is placed in xy plane. This is x-axis. This is y-axis. And z-axis is perpendicular to its plane. This is z-axis. Now, to find the moment of inertia about its diameter, about its diameter. Diameter is along x-axis or along y-axis. The ring is uniformly distributed about x-axis as well as y-axis. So, the moment of inertia of this ring about x-axis and y-axis are same. And these two axes are along the diameter, therefore it is also denoted by ID. Here z-axis is perpendicular to the plane of the ring. X and y axis are in the plane of the ring. So according to the principle of perpendicular axis, here we applied the principle of perpendicular axis, and that according to that principle, the moment of inertia about the z-axis is equal to the sum of the moment of inertia about x-axis and about y-axis. That is equal to Iz is equal to Ix plus Iy. But Ix and Iy are equal to Id. Therefore, here Id plus Id, that is equal to 2 times Id. That is equal to 2 times Id. Therefore, from these equations, Id is equal to, from these equations, Id is equal to Iz upon 2, or that is equal to half times Iz, half times Iz. But we know the expression for the moment of inertia about this perpendicular axis, that is mr square. Therefore, the moment of inertia of the ring about the diameter, that is equal to half mr square. Half mr square. This is the expression. This is the expression for the moment of inertia about the diameter. Now, in exam, also often the expression for the same ring, but about the axis, this is the ring, about the axis, passing through the ring of ring. If to find out the moment of inertia of this ring about this axis, passing through circumference of the ring and perpendicular to its plane, Now, to find out the moment of inertia about this axis, this given axis and the axis passing through its center and perpendicular to its plane, that is z-axis, both axes are parallel to each others. Therefore, here the moment of inertia about this z' axis, here we consider this is z' axis. Therefore, the moment of inertia about this z' axis and z-axis, both are parallel to each other. Therefore, here we applied the principle of parallel axis, and according to the principle of parallel axis, IO is equal to IC plus MH square. IC plus MH square. In this case, the axis, the moment of inertia to be find out about this z' axis. Therefore, here IO is equal to IZ dash. IO is equal to IZ dash. And IC, that is the moment of inertia about the axis, parallel axis, passing through the center of mass. And parallel to this axis, that is z axis. Therefore here IC is equal to IZ. IC is equal to IZ. And and the distance between the two parallel axes, that is h, and here h is equal to radius of the ring. H is equal to radius of the ring. Therefore substitute h as r. Therefore substitute h as r. H is equal to r. Therefore, according to principle of parallel axis, IZ is equal to IZ dash is equal to IZ, that is MR square, that is equal to MR square, plus MH square, that is equal to MR square. Therefore, the moment of inertia of the ring about the axis passing through one ring, passing through the rim point and perpendicular to its plane is equal to 2 times MR square. 2 times MR. Also, one question will be asked, that is, obtain the expression for the moment of inertia of the same ring about the axis passing through the rim point but parallel to the plane, that is parallel to diameter, that is about this axis. This axis is considered x dash. Now x dash axis and x axis both are parallel to each other. Now here applied the principle of parallel axis, and according to the principle of parallel axis, I x dash is equal to I x dash is equal to I x plus mh square. I x plus mh square. Substitute the value of Ix is equal to IRD, that is equal to MR square by 2, H as R, and find out the expressions. Solve it after lectures. Here. Now, another object is hollow cylinder. The moment of inertia of this hollow cylinder is made by number of such rings placed over to each others, and that forms cylinder. So the moment of inertia of the hollow cylinder having thin wall, its wall is thin, and about its axis, if this thin walled hollow cylinder of mass m, length L, and radius R is rotates about its central axis, that means about its own axis, in that case the moment of inertia is same as that of the ring, that is I is equal to mr square. So its radius of gyration is equal to R. But about the axis perpendicular to its length, and passing through the center, that is called about its central diameter, about the central diameter axis. In that case, the moment of inertia I is equal to half mr square plus plus 1 upon 12 times ml square. This is the expression for the moment of inertia of the cylinder about its central diameter. How this formula can be obtained, that is beyond the scope of you. So only remember this formula of moment of inertia, and from this expression the radius of gyration can be found out by using the formulas square root of I upon m, that is equal to r square, square root of r square by 2 plus L square by 12. Third symmetric object is annular ring. Annular ring. Annular rings means the ring having thick width. Its width is larger. Thin ring, that means width is smaller. Thickness is also smaller. Here, the width of ring is larger. So, here the ring has different radii. Inner radii R1 and outer radii is R2. If the ring has mass m, inner radius R1 and outer radius is R2, then its moment of inertia about its central axis, this is the central axis, that means the axis which is passing through center and perpendicular to its plane, that is called the central axis. About that axis, the moment of inertia is equal to half m into bracket r1 square plus r2 square. So the radius of gyrations k is equal to square root of I upon m, and that is equal to square root of r1 square plus r2 square by 2. This is the radius of gyration. From these expressions, also from this annular ring, we can also remember this formula of the moment of inertia of the ring, thin uniform ring. For thin uniform ring, R1 is equal to R2. R1 is equal to R2. Substitute R1 is equal to R2, that is equal to R. Therefore, R plus R, that is 2 times R, 2 to get cancelled. Therefore, moment of inertia of thin uniform ring is mr square. About its diameter, we see for the thin uniform ring, Ix is equal to Iy, that is equal to Id. Since the mass distribution is equally distributed about these two axes, x-axis and y-axis, so the moment of inertia is about the diameter Id is equal to 1/4 times m into bracket r1 square plus r2 square. R1 square plus r2 square. That is equal to square root of, therefore radius of gyration about this diameter is k is equal to square root of r1 square plus r2 square by 4. Fourth symmetrical object is disk. The moment of inertia of thin uniform disk of mass m and radius r is found out by using the formula I is equal to half mr square. We have already seen these expressions. This expression can be obtained by using the ring. So the radius of gyrations about this axis, about its central axis, k is equal to r upon square root of 2. Now obtain the expression for the moment of inertia of the ring about its diameter, same as that of the ring, Here, instead of ring, we consider disk and applied the same method. Here Iz is equal to half mr square. Therefore, half into half, that is 1/4. For disk, for this moment of inertia about the diameter is equal to 1/4 mr square, 1/4 times mr square. Also, obtain the expression for the moment of inertia of this disk about this z dash axis and x dash axis, that can be obtained after these lectures. Solve this and send me. Now, the next object is solid cylinder. Solid cylinder is made by number of discs placed over each others. So the moment of inertia of the disk about its central axis is same as that of the moment of inertia of the disk. The expression is same as that of the moment of inertia of the disk. Its expression for the radius of gyration is also same. But the moment of inertia of this solid cylinder about the axis passing through its center and perpendicular to its length is equal to 1/4 mr square plus 1/12 times ml square. This expression is also not given in your textbook and also not in your syllabus. Only for given it for NEET examinations and JEE examinations. From this, the radius of gyration k is equal to square root of r square by 4 plus l square by 12. Now, another body symmetrical object is thin-walled hollow sphere of mass m and radius r. Its moment of inertia about its central axis, that is the axis about its diameter, I is equal to 2/3 times mr square, where k is equal to square root of I upon m. Therefore, radius of gyration k is equal to square root of 2/3 times the radius of the hollow sphere. Only the formulas for this are remembers only. Now, next symmetrical object is solid sphere of mass m and radius r. The moment of inertia of this solid sphere about this diameter or about its central axis, I is equal to 2/5 times mr square. So its radius of gyration is equal to square root of 2/5 times r. Another symmetrical objects is spherical cell. Spherical cell means a hollow sphere having thick wall. It has two radius, inner radius and outer radius. Inner radius is considered R1, outer radius is considered R2. Therefore, moment of inertia of this hollow sphericals or spherical cell about its diameter is equal to I is equal to 2 by 5 times mass of the spherical body into bracket r2 raised to 5 minus r1 raised to 5 upon r2 raised to cube minus r1 raised to cube. Therefore, the radius of gyration of this spherical cell k is equal to square root of 2 into r2 raised to 5 minus r1 raised to 5 upon 5 times r2 cube minus r1 cube. This is the expression for the radius of gyration. Another symmetrical object is thin uniform rod. Thin means whose diameter is very small. Whose diameter is very small. Thin uniform rod of mass m and length L. About the axis passing through its center and perpendicular to its length is equal to I is equal to 1 upon 12 times ml square. This is the expression for the moment of inertia about the axis passing through center and perpendicular to its length of the rod. So the radius of gyrations about that axis k is equal to L upon 2 times square root of 3. Now, to find out the moment of inertia of this thin uniform rod about the axis passing through one end and perpendicular to its length, is by using the principle of parallel axis, and that is equal to IO is equal to IC plus MH square. Here IC means about this axis, that is ml square by 12, that is 1 upon 12 times ml square, and here h is equal to L by 2, therefore IO is equal to 1 upon 12 times ml square plus ml square by 4, since h is equal to L by 2. And by solve this, we get 1/3 ml square. Therefore, the moment of inertia, therefore, the radius of gyrations about this axis perpendicular to length and passing through one end is k is equal to L upon square root of 3. L upon square root of 3. Next object is rectangular plate. Thin uniform rectangular plate of mass m, length L, and width b. Now, to find out the moment of inertia of this plate about the axis passing through center, but perpendicular to length, that axis is represented by x, and this x-axis is parallel to the width, The y-axis here, y-axis is perpendicular to the width but parallel to the length, passing through center. Z-axis is perpendicular to plane surface of plate, and passing through center. These are the three axes. Now, to find out the moment of inertia of thin uniform rectangular plate of mass m, length L, and width b about the axis passing through center and parallel to width, that is perpendicular to length, that is about the x-axis. That is Ix is equal to 1 upon 12 times ml square. That is like thin uniform rod of length L. Therefore, radius of gyrations k is equal to L upon 2 times square root of 3. Now, the moment of inertia of this same plate, but about the axis passing through center and parallel to the length, that is perpendicular to the width, that is about y-axis. That is about y-axis. This is also similar to thin uniform rod of length equal to b, that is width. So Iy is equal to 1 upon 12 times mb square. Therefore, its radius of gyrations about the axis perpendicular to the width, that is parallel to the length, k is equal to b upon 2 times square root of 3. Now, to obtain the moment of inertia of the about the z-axis. This z-axis is perpendicular to the plate. The plate is in xy plane. So we applied the principle of perpendicular axis, that is Iz is equal to Ix plus Iy. Iz is equal to Ix plus Iy. This body rectangular plate is uniform. We assume uniform rectangular plate. So the distribution of the mass about the x-axis and about the y-axis are same. So the moment of inertia about the x-axis and about y-axis, therefore same. Therefore, the moment of inertia about the z-axis, Iz is equal to Ix plus Iy. Substitute Ix is 1 upon 12 times ml square and Iy is 1 upon 12 times mb square. mb square in the theorem of perpendicular axis, therefore Iz is equal to 1 upon 12 times m into bracket L square plus b square, since 1 upon 12 is taken common from both the equations, also m is taken common from both the equations. Therefore, the moment of inertia about z-axis is 1 upon 12 times m into bracket L square plus b square. So the radius of gyrations of this rectangular plate about the z-axis is is equal to half into square root of L square plus b square upon 3. Now, next symmetrical object, that is hollow circular cone. Hollow circular cone. That cone is like this. If we consider this is a cone having the plane surface. If the surface is plane, cut here, that surface is becomes circular. That is considered rectangular cone. Right circular cone. Right circular cone means here the surface is not inclined, but surface is plane surface. Plane is surface. Such a type of surface, such a type of cone is called. Such a type of cone is called the uniform hollow circular cone. The surface is circular, not inclined. The surface is circular, not inclined, like this. Now, the moment of inertia of this hollow right circular cone about its vertical axis is equal to half mr square. Therefore, its radius of gyrations k is equal to r upon square root of 2. Now, last symmetrical object is uniform solid right circular cone. That means its mass distributions is from the axis to the surface is equally distributed. Such a circular cone is called a solid circular cone, and the moment of inertia of this solid circular cone about its vertical axis is equal to I is equal to 3 by 10 times mr square, where m is the mass of this cone and r is the larger radius of this cone. So its radius of gyration k is equal to square root of 3 by 10 times r. Thank you for watching. If we like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel and press bell icon buttons near to the subscriptions tab and give the comments on the comment box. Thank you again. Thanks for watching.